you feel like you are ready to get promoted or you want to start your journey towards getting to the next level, I would say take your manager to a conference room or set up a one on one with him and just have a very open conversation.
It's not about somebody telling you a problem, you finding that problem and solving it.
Let's say there are four good people in the same team, they are working equally well, and there is just one spot for the next level.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Tech Banter. My name is Ankur. I'm a tech professional based out of Seattle.
Hello everyone, my name is Vishal and I am a software engineer in a big tech company.
Sure.
Today is a very special episode. We have a guest with us. Surya is joining us on this episode. So, Surya, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks, Ankur and Visal. I'm really thrilled to be part of your podcast and discussing the topic that we have today. And a little bit about me for the audience. I work in a big tech company here in Seattle area. Have been in the industry for 20. Use my core strength in the industry is program management. I am a TPM there, and
Awesome.
excited to take part in this discussion today.
Thank you for joining us, Surya. Excited to have you.
Cool. So, Ankur, before we dive in, what are you drinking today?
Oh, I have a non alcoholic cafe latte drink
Wow,
with me.
that's nice. That's really nice.
What about you
Cool.
guys?
So, I am drinking today. This is blueberry punch with a vodka in it.
I'm drinking a non-alcoholic lemon ginger based drink from Costco, Suza.
All right. So today's episode is going to be on career growth. And this is another episode in our Careers in Tech series. We don't claim to be experts in career growth, but this is going to be a discussion. So we three are going to talk about our own career journeys, experiences in terms of career growth. We'll share some insights. Hopefully, it will be helpful. We'll generally focus on three broad areas in terms of career growth. It's a pretty large surface area topic. So we thought we divided into three different pillars. So starting with the number one is promotions. So we'll talk about how to get promoted in your career. Next, we'll move on to role transition, how we have seen either ourselves or others move into different roles, be it moving from an individual contributor into a managerial role, or be it moving into a completely different role, or it could be like somebody moving from a non-tech career into a tech career. That is also something that a lot of people are trying to do and successfully navigating. And the third pillar would be about switching companies or organizations. So, how either us or others have successfully switched from one company to another company, be it moving from one big tech to another big tech to a startup, startup to a big tech, all those different transitions. So, we'll start off with talking about career growth in terms of promotion. All right. So before we start talking about promotions, I thought it would be nice to kick things off with a game, right? So, what is this game? Hopefully, it will be something that is inspirational. So, I am going to show you some traits in the
Mhm.
next slides, and you guys have to guess who am I talking about and which company's CEO is this person. Okay. All right. We'll start with the first one. So, first one, who am I? I started working in this company, and my first job was loading trucks in a distribution center. I grew up in Arkansas. I currently live there with my family. And I am also the CEO of this company, which is the largest retailer in the world.
I think it's CEO for Walmart,
Yes,
Mhm.
that's correct.
but I don't know the name.
Yeah.
I
I think,
know
Wow.
he has a
I-
head office in Arkansas.
yes,
That's
you are
that.
right. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
His name is
Doc.
Doug Macmillan,
Macmillan.
and he's
Okay.
the CEO of Walmart.
oh wow.
Awesome.
And what's really like amazing is he actually started at the
Yeah.
bottommost. level, right? And grew up to be the CEO of the company. Who am I? So I started as a weatherman on a local news station for this company. Now I am the CEO of the largest media company. Any guesses?
Man.
Let me give you a guess. This is like a company that your kids definitely like to watch.
Is this Disney?
Yes,
Yeah.
this is
Okay.
Disney. You guys know the CEO
See,
of Disney?
there have been, yeah, Bob
Oh,
Iger. Yeah.
oh my God.
All right, let's move on to the next one.
Okay.
Who am I? I'm born in a middle class Indian
Wow. I
family,
think
joined as
there
a
is,
product manager,
there is,
CEO of a big tech company. Yeah, this I think both of you will know.
there is no need to answer this actually, right? Like, uh, middle class Indian family, joined as a product manager and CEO of a big tech company. Nobody else it can be like. I think let Surya answer this. I will say.
Uh, okay, it's a bit confusing. Let me tell
Okay.
you. Because last two points, is checkbox with Satya. But
Hmm.
born in a middle class family, Indian family, is something confusing because he was not born in a middle class Indian family, right?
I think
So,
Surya, the second point, I think Satya joined as a software engineer, right?
is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think Satya. So
And it's the one and
yeah,
only.
then yeah, I think
Yeah.
let's see
Then
what Ankur has in his cards. Yes.
perfect.
Yeah,
So
it is
it is.
obviously we are talking about Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Alphabet
Yeah.
or Google. Um, yeah, like obviously amazing story. Started off as a pretty a middle class family in India. Studied in a premier college in India, and then in US. Joined as a product manager in Google, and grew up the ranks to eventually become the CEO. So super inspirational. All
Absolutely.
right. I think this is the last one. Let's talk about this one. All right. I was born in Taiwan,
Oh,
immigrated to the US when I was 4 years old. I worked as a microprocessor designer at AMD. Started my own company, which is now leading the AI revolution. All right.
Oh, this
This is
is
the company.
this is little confusing for me, to be honest.
Okay.
There are two names that come in my mind, right?
Okay.
Hmm. But I want to be. I don't know.
Take a guess
Let
of the
me.
company.
I think it is Nvidia,
NVIDIA.
Okay.
and the
You are
CEO
right.
of
It is the CEO of NVIDIA,
yeah,
Jensen Huang.
Yeah,
Jason.
Jensen.
Again, like super inspirational for all of us in terms of where you can start and where you can end up. He's I think he's currently worth like almost $40 billion. So
Wow.
amazing story. All right, so with that, I think hopefully we have made it a little bit inspirational for our listeners, and let's get it started. Vishal, you want to kick us off on promotions?
We all start our careers from the very bottom of the pyramid, I will say. One thing that is motivating or drives is promotions, I think, right? We all work hard, we all try to succeed, and three different things are very important for promotion, right? One is the delivery. So whatever you are trying to do, you deliver on those things, right? The second thing is timing. So basically, if you are even delivering and the timing is not right, promotions are hard, right? And the third thing is basically influence. So I have seen, this is my first hand experience, that people who are good in influencing others, right, they are primed to be promoted. So I see promotions as the combination of these three things, um, basically delivery, timing, and the influence that you have. If I talk about my journey, right, I'm a software engineer, and throughout my career I have changed two companies, but in both the companies, whenever I am promoted, it is mostly based on deliveries. So whenever a big feature or a big product is delivered end to end, it is kind of primed to be, you are up for the next promotion cycle or something like that, right? For me, timing is also important, and definitely influence is also a factor, but it depends on different roles and different paths, right? So I will love to hear from both of you, what is your experience in the promotion area, right? So I think I will give it to the expert opinion that we have today, to Surya, to share his promotion journey.
Thank you, Vishal, to bringing me into this discussion. I think like when I think about promotion, right, I feel like I want to take a step back and think like what exactly promotion is, right? Promotion, like when we think about promotion, it's kind of growth in your three areas: knowledge, responsibility, pay. These are the three kind of like growth areas, and like which becomes like kind of tagged as promotion, packed as a promotion as a like from the company side, right? So when we think in those lines, I think like I totally agree with you. Those things need to be recognized by the industry when you do some kind of big delivery on time, right? So, and I, in my experience as well, like when I work in two companies, and like I got multiple promotion within, and I failed promotion as well. So maybe like that is something to discuss in like in the last part of our discussions. So I see like uh, be on the time, like being on the right time in the right project, and being influential, impactful, helps you a lot, like kind of getting recognition, overall recognition from your peer group, and which helps you like grow from n to n plus 1, or like level 1 to l to l plus 1, right? So that's kind of like thought I have when I discuss about promotion. So maybe I'll hand over to Ankur to add on,
Yeah,
and then
I
like
think you guys have kind of touched on like similar things that I was also thinking about. I think promotion early in your career, it is much easier to get promoted, get to the next level. And as you grow in your career ladder, I think it becomes more and more difficult, right? So that's why we have the concept of terminal levels in a lot of companies, right? At a particular level, you are not everybody is expected to grow beyond that, and it's totally fine as long as you are at that level and you are performing strongly. For me, I think promotion would be largely like impact, right? Um, and then making sure that you align with the company's values while delivering that impact. So I would say it is super important to make sure that you identify work that has a lot of business impact, which is like what you do, and then how you do is like aligning with the company's values. So for example, you can get a feature out into production, but a lot of companies value the quality aspect, right? So making sure that you can deliver it with high quality puts you at better odds of getting that promotion. Or there could be companies which value speed, so you deliver it, but you deliver it at a high speed in a repeatable fashion, can help you get promoted faster. So yeah.
so Ankur, like you actually brought up a very good point. The strategy for promotion, or like the things that get recognized, the way it get recognized varies from companies to companies. So maybe like it's uh, anybody, any aspirant for the promotion need to understand how the value culture, like cultural aspect of the company, what is valued and what is not, and how it is valued, to understand, like understanding that aspect of it before being, before even trying for the promotion, is like helps you to strategize yourself. And it's a journey, it's a journey that like reaches to a point, and then again a new point starts, right? So
Yeah.
um, they say it's like promotion is a game, you understand
Yeah.
that. uh, while you kind of like add on to delivery, timing, visibility, impact, and everything, but how you kind of there is set of rules which is kind of influenced by the culture of the company, as you mentioned, and kind of play along with that, right?
Yeah.
Vishal, do you want to add something to that, kind of a gamification aspect of the promotion?
I
Or
think so. I okay. Let me be more clear in this, right? So we think of this as gamification, right?
Mhm,
But to be honest, I see it as a part of the broad view, right?
mhm,
Let's consider two different companies, right? One is a company that is kind of delivering simple software, right? Versus a company who is delivering, let's say, AI platforms or AI softwares, right? So I think if you see the promotion cycles in a smaller development firm, I think you can do it by showing small feature items, right?
mhm.
Uh, Versus when there is a platform, AI platform company who is doing something at a very larger scale, we have seen that it might take years to develop things, right?
Agreed.
So, so that means it is not gamification, I will say. It is more of the company that you are in. It has its own set of values, challenges, and business model, right?
Agreed.
So you cannot be in a smaller set of like which company delivers very like quick software, quick products, and you will think of like I will have an impact over 2 years and then I will get to some other thing, right? There maybe the metric is like within a year he has developed 10 different softwares, and out of that 6 are good and he is good for promotion. On the other hand, for a AI platform company, it will be like he has researched on this one particular set of thing, even though it is not in production, but it has built up our knowledge base so that if the need arises we will be able to deliver on time, right? So that guy can be up for promotion, right? It is, so that is what like you have to understand the company you are in and how it drives its business from, right?
Agree. Agree.
Yeah.
So, maybe Ankur, the next topic that we may kind of explore into, if somebody is interested, right? Somebody is interested or up for an aspirant of a promotion, what they should be thinking about, how they can prep themselves to get into it. Whatever we covered till now is how they got to that position. But if a aspirant is starting the journey, is there something we can add to, or we can kind of give them a tips
Yeah.
to guardrail, or I don't know, right? Or
Yeah,
like
I
sorry.
think especially in like I can talk about like Indian culture, and
Mhm.
it may be like something that is not only limited to like Indian culture, but even more broader is we feel a little ashamed to ask for promotions, right? Like it's like, okay, I'll be doing good work and my manager would recognize me eventually and they will be working for my promotion. I don't think we should rely on that to happen all the time. If it happens, great. You have a great manager, you have a great organization. But in terms of promotion, I think we need to be advocating for ourselves, right? And we need to be very open with our managers in talking about the fact that, hey, you want to grow and you're ready to put in the work that's required in terms of growth, and have that open conversation with your manager. And I think that is the first step uh, in terms of career growth with respect to promotion. So if anybody who is listening to this podcast and you feel like you are ready to get promoted or you want to start your journey towards getting to the next level, I would say take your manager to a conference room or set up a one-on-one with him and just have a very open conversation that, hey, you want to get promoted, maybe you're not there right now, but you need to have that discussion of how your manager can help you get to the next level, make an ally out of your manager. So I think that's where promotions starts for me.
Can't agree more to you, Ankur. Very true, very right. And for our audience, that's the first step. At least open up, discuss, and get as you said, Ankur, get your manager as your ally in this
Yeah.
journey of your promotion or whatever, right? Just to add to that, Ankur, I just feel like now this is one more point which any aspirant promotion, like any promotion aspirant, should add to their tool set, being intentional about it. Like remember, like we are talking about, you kind of covered that part, like hey, you can do all good works and it will happen to you. Maybe like that's not the right way to go about it. Be intentional about it. And what I mean by that is like as soon as you get your manager into your site, or like understand like where you are standing, try to understand like how, what is this terrain is, what exactly L plus one looks like, what exactly is expected.
Yeah.
Am I there, like be critical, be intentional.
Have you guys used any frameworks in your work to understand how where do you stand in terms of readiness for promotion?
Most of the company that I worked with, I see company themselves has an existing framework of judging people. Many a times it's like looks like irrational, or like you are not happy with the like framework, but when you go to a larger set of people, usually that framework is like kind of fits in, like that
Yeah.
rational, reasonable, right? So the way to like I, or like anybody who is aspirant for promotion, I would say at least like exceed at your level, or meet the expectation at your level to start with, to start that
Yeah.
conversation, right? If you are not performing in at your level, it doesn't matter like whichever level you are, like I I kind of superimpose this point with your like initial guidance to the audience, right? Like where it is a pyramid, it takes longer time to like when you go
Yeah.
up above, that's a different thing. But like wherever you are, doesn't matter, right? First you know like what you are doing at this point, and whether you are exceeding, at least meeting the expectation at your level, and then like start up your journey. If you are not really performing at that level, uh, initiating this conversation, I don't think like will help you much. So put your best foot forward, make sure you are doing. So going back to like the initial question that we had, is there a tool? I think like start with the homegrown tool, like HR have like kind of a review process, peer group, your
Yeah.
managers, your like all those people like kind of help you. Be candid about it, like be open and take the feedback there.
I think the
I think
job description
mhm.
that most companies have, like I would say like mid to big sized tech companies have this career ladder or a job description for the role, and I would say like start with that, and list down your current levels responsibilities. There usually are like four or five attributes that you are measured against, and then list down the plus one level, right? What is the next level's responsibilities, and do an honest assessment of where do you stand for each of those attributes, and what are the examples that you have. So uh, do that, and then I would say like work very closely with your manager so that they can find you the right opportunities. There is a very high probability that you'll have gaps, right, in those attributes, especially for the plus one level. So work with your manager to kind of find opportunities, right? One thing is you have the skill sets, you have the chops, but then maybe there is no opportunity, right? Finding the right opportunity is also super important, and that's where your manager, other managers can really help you find that opportunity, and you can kind of help like fill those gaps. So it's a journey. Sometimes this can take like multiple quarters. In certain cases, especially for higher levels, it can take even multiple years, which is like totally fine. So I would say like start there. um, any other tips, tricks, experiences that you have seen work in terms of like getting to the next level?
So one thing is very important here, right? So whenever for initial promotions or initial career growth steps, right, you can always fall back to what your mentors or seniors are doing, right? So that is a good, like I completely agree with Surya, have the initial HR tools and all that, but usually those tools are very like generic, right? They are written like for almost everyone, right? But the group that you are working with, the team that you are working with, usually your seniors, the people who have been in industry for more number of years, let's say, or have a better experience or more higher experience than you, definitely you can take input from them, right? That is a kind of a practical tool that you can use.
How do you guys go about finding mentors? Because I think finding mentors is a super important point in terms of promotion.
One thing I wanted to make it clear for our audience, like mentorship is such a thing. It's not like one mentor for a whole of life.
Yeah,
Based on your need, again, like one mentor for all skill. No, you have you have multiple mentors at multiple different times for multiple different skill. If I'm making
yeah,
sense, right?
yeah, yeah.
That's that. So at the same time, maybe you have a different mentor for a skill set that you wanted to grow versus if you have a different mentor for the promotion, right? Here the interest is promotion, but we are discussing about mentor. I
Yeah.
kind of trying to get both the things into the single in a single discussion, that mentorship for your promotion, right? And the framework that I have used, which work for me, or kind of I recommend, or in theory that works for everybody. I hope it would work for everybody, right? Find a mentor if you are really interested for a keen on promotion. Two things you need to find. One is identify a person in your L+1 level whose body of work you are really impressed with, or whose conduct, or his body of work you are impressed with, right? So
Hmm.
that's the first thing. One of the suggestions that I got early in my career, if you see somebody like that, kind of try to replicate their body of work. Try to
Hmm.
see what color you can bring to that, but replicate the same work, right?
Hmm.
If he has done some kind of big deployment, I'm just big release. Can
Hmm.
I do that in my scope, in my area, in my capacity? Can I
Hmm.
do that, replicate? Or okay, if he has put a strategy for for a year for your group, can I
Yeah.
do that in for my team? You don't have to do it for the whole group. Maybe you
Hmm.
don't have an opportunity, but can I take the same flavor and put my colors and replicate that? So you kind of have a kind of have a destination in your mind, right? That's one mentorship, one area which is not directly contacting the person, or directly. You are lucky, if he is agreeing to mentor you, then you are lucky in that format. But another framework that I have used, I would suggest my audience for, is somebody has made that journey. He has made in that same company somewhere near to your group organization L to L+1. That means he has done that, right? In your capacity, in your team, with the same kind of technical complexity that you are right now in, he has done that. Maybe he is a good person. Maybe he becomes your promo coach, promo mentor. uh, you go back to him in a kind of a, you don't have to meet him every week.
Yeah.
Maybe you go back to him in a month, or in a quarter, review your body of work, try to understand, try to see how your peer group kind of judge the body of work. That gives an insight for you to adjust your work, course correct, and then approach. Those are two things that I'll say, how I go about finding a mentor. One is somebody you are impressed with, body of work, try
Yeah.
replicating. And second one, somebody made that journey in front of you, in your group, in
Yeah.
your peer group. Try looking for his mentorship, or his guidance there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense. Vishal, do you have any? How have you found mentors?
So for me, mentorship is more of a connection, right? um, I think when we go to office, there are thousands of smart people, right? There are hundreds of possible mentors that you will find there, right? uh, I think you have to connect with the other person, right? That is P0 for me. If you are not able to connect with that person, usually superficially you can see people do certain things, you can replicate that, that's perfectly fine. That is actually the easiest and fastest way to do it, right? But if you really want to go on a deeper level, you need to have a mentor who can share with you freely, who can talk to you freely, right? That doesn't happen with all those thousand people, right? For me, mentorship is more of you should have a connection with them where they know that you are mutually, both of you are adding value to each other, right? um,
Yeah.
because the other person is also getting a mentee and he is having the experience of being a mentor, right? So I think it is very important that both of you connect on that level. And then to be honest, after that the journey becomes super simple, right? That once that first connection is made, um, I think in my experience the mentor was able to very openly connect with me, provide guidance, to be honest, at some points to be like hand holding me also, right? So that
Yeah.
yeah, you take some risky steps, and then they are literally they are there for you, right? So I think for me, mentorship is having that connection. That is how I see it.
I think both of your answers together is a very good framework for anybody to find mentor, which is, I think, like Surya, you mentioned about somebody that you can emulate, right? Exemplary work. The second thing was somebody who has actually taken the path that you want to take, right? So that you can actually learn from their mistakes. And then Vishal talked about connection, which is so important because in front of the mentor, you have to be okay to be vulnerable, right?
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
have to like talk about your gaps or some insecurities or
Yes.
some weaknesses, and a lot of times you don't want to do that with your manager, but mentor should be someone that you can actually open up about all those things. So I think that's a great framework for our listeners to follow. So awesome.
Ankur, what is your framework for finding a mentor or being a mentor? What have you seen?
Yeah.
I think for me the trust thing, it is a mix. Trust is a super important thing. Like you're right. Like you have to be like, because the mentor is not your manager, right? A lot of times this person could be a peer. Maybe their level is same as yours. Maybe they're not in the same team, or their level could be ideally plus one. uh, but yeah, like I think trust is the one thing that
You find trust is the
connect or
most
trust is
important.
super important for
Mhm.
me. That's it. That is
Do you
what
want to
a
share
lot of times I
anything?
don't officially say that you are my mentor, right?
Mhm.
uh, I know that there is a concept of mentorship in most big companies, but I don't know. For me, like I don't need to like officially declare you as the mentor. As long as I am actually going to you with my like real problems that I am facing, you are my mentor. Or if somebody is coming to me with their problems, I am their mentor. Whether they call me my mentor or not does not matter, right? So yeah, that's what I look for.
Agreed.
All right. So one thing we talked about is impact. Impact is, I would say, like the most important thing in terms of getting promoted to the next level. Uh, but how do you find impactful work? What are the ways that you have actually either like found impactful work or have realized that the work that you were doing is not really like impactful for the level that you are trying to get to?
Hmm.
So any good ways that you have found?
So finding impactful work, I think one of the most important topics for promotions, right? I think my career journey, I was fortunate to have some really big projects, right? Did some really good work in that, right? Uh, I will tell you one most important thing that I saw was you should be people should be able to come and approach you for the problems that they have. Like if you have that attitude, like once you go to office or you connect with people and you are there as if like if a person has a problem, they come to you, right? You are a go-to person. I think that is the prime person to know all the problems that are currently existing in the system or process or product, right? Once you have that mindset, I think it becomes very easy to filter out what will be the most impactful work, because you have wealth of knowledge, right? About what is going around in the environment, right? And you will, I think most of the people we work with are super smart enough to, they can understand this is the most um, painful piece, we have to fix this, and have the right skill set to just fix that in a timely fashion. I think that is what how I have seen. But Yeah, I will love to have Surya's opinion as well, like how to find an impactful work.
I want to turn the table around. I'll say, like, it's not about at the end of the day it is impactful work, but turn the table around where it starts, right? You are solving a problem.
Mhm.
What is the biggest problem? What is the fudgier problem? What is the, like, what is the problem that worries this group, this set of people, like, so when I talk about that, like, correlate that problem, like, bigger fudgier problem set to amount of people, amount of group to your level, right? For, like, for an entry level, it's a team of, like, 5 people, you are solving something. For next level, maybe, like, it's 15 people. For a, like, bigger team or sister team, you are solving together, you are solving something. Maybe at, like, some level, at some point you are solving a problem for your organization. At some level you are solving a problem for your like, product group, or, like, for a company. I don't know, wherever you are sitting in that whole hierarchy,
Yeah.
find the biggest, hairier, fuzzier problem that you can solve, and try to justify and see whether that problem is big enough for your level or not,
Hmm.
right? So at some point I have been told, or, like, we are all experiencing that it's not about somebody telling you a problem, you finding that problem and solving it. So if you are already into that like, that level of your career, like, that point of your career where you need to find a problem, and then, so one of the thing that I usually do, like, have, like, done or seen people doing, making sure this is a problem for people. Sometimes we get really passionate about something we, like, we want to solve for the group, or for the customer. For, again, I, when I say group, a customer's problem, or the group, like, somebody you are solving the problem for, make sure you are aligned on the problem set, what you are solving, and then, like, once everybody is aligned, and that's a big enough, further enough, complex enough problem to solve, put whole and, like, all your heart and soul into it, and then, like, go for the journey with your manager, to talk with your manager,
Yeah.
intentional, and then start solving that problem.
Surya, I would like to give you a counter question or a thought
Please,
on that, right?
please.
So I have seen once, like I think many people they try to find this most difficult problem, right? And there are not one, two. There will be bunch of other people who are trying to solve that, right? Uh, have you seen this creating a little bit of complexity, confusion, or a conflict?
See, again, uh, interesting question. A big trait that we missed till now at this point, like, till this point of our discussion, is collaboration,
Hmm.
leadership, right? So that goes hand in hand with your promotion. You go from L to L plus one. Your leadership, your, like, collaboration, kind of, like, collaboration increases by exponentially, and your leadership increases, like, or, like, how you
Multiples
say,
time,
multi n times, right? Like,
n
so,
times.
so you are worth of that promotion if you see, like, 10 people solving that problem, and you give a guidance,
Hmm.
and be vocal about it, or, like, be kind of, like, be the collaborator to come up with a solution, and understand, like, as the problem becomes fuzzier, it is very difficult for one person to sit there and solve everything. That's the reason, like, you have 1,000 people in every software company. Otherwise, one guy must be writing the software, and then, like, everybody will be solved, right? That doesn't happen that way. So I feel like, yes, it's a complex point, like, problem to solve, but maybe you should open up collaborating with other problem solver, and give a guidance, and give a strategic, be strategic
Okay.
about it.
So you are saying if there is such a conflict, you should pre-plan it and probably try to collaborate with like the group, right? Instead of trying to create two different solutions or trying to go two different path.
That's the greater good for the company, right? So
Yeah,
you
yeah,
join
definitely.
forces, give them, like, join forces, solve, like, part of the problem, let them solve the other part of the problem, or maybe, like, use the best solution possible there, and join
Hmm.
forces for the company.
Nice. Yeah, I completely agree with you, Surya. So
I
what
would
about
also
you, Ankur?
say,
What?
yeah,
How do you think the delivery, impactful delivery works?
yeah, I would just build on to what Surya said about the impact changing with level, right?
Mhm.
So at a lower level, I think the problem is very well defined and the ambiguity is very less. So, hey, go build this thing, and these are the requirements. Like, just build it well, right? So you build it to the requirements, do a good job, high quality, get it delivered on time. You're done. You're good in terms of impact. But as you grow higher in the ladder, lot of times the only thing you'd have is, hey, we need to meet this number of customers acquisition target, or we need to meet this revenue target, or we need to meet this cost saving target, right? And then as we like move towards like a staff or a principal level, it's totally ambiguous. You have to be creative to figure out how you can actually move the needle of that number, right? So it's very ambiguous, and I think that's where like your creativity comes in, like in-depth understanding of the technology or the business really comes in handy. So I think that's why like defining what is the problem that you need to solve becomes like super critical, because usually like companies have like super smart people to actually solve the problem, but what is the problem that we should solve, right? I think like focusing on that becomes like super important. So I would say like doing that exercise really helps. What I have found as like super helpful in my career or like observing others, follow the money, right?
Hmm.
End of the day, we all are here to do business, eventually like to make money, save money, improve the bottom line, improve the top line. If you can somehow link the work that you're doing on a day-to-day basis to actual revenue impact, profitability impact, nobody can actually argue with the impact that you are bringing in, right? So I would say like focusing on the dollars makes a lot of sense. It's very timely as well right now that every company is trying to like save cost and be more efficient. So that's one thing. And the third thing, to your point about complexity of work and multiple people trying to solve the same problem, I think we should definitely collaborate. I think Surya's point is like super valid. But there are obviously times when there are like too many cooks in the kitchen, and complexity somehow attracts
Yeah.
some smart people, engineers. Again, my advice would be, if too many people are trying to solve one complex problem, maybe look at that unsexy problem that nobody is looking at, but it eventually has a lot of business impact, dollar impact, right? So like Amazon actually focuses obsessively on operational excellence. If you really look at it, like on the surface level, it's like not a really sexy problem to kind of go after, but that's where all the like the money is made, the competitive advantage of Amazon is achieved, right? So I have seen in my experience that the engineers, the employees who actually focuses on those unsexy problem, because dollar does not know whether the problem is like complex or like simple or sexy or unsexy. Dollar just care about efficiencies. I would say like focusing on that could be like one of the strategies for getting into the next level. So I've seen a lot of people get to the next level by focusing on difficult problems but not like super sexy. Yeah.
I, very, very well said, Ankur. Just adding to that, more you go in your problem solving journey or identifying problem journey, more you go closer to the customer, better it is.
Yeah.
That's where the dollar is coming to,
Yeah.
right? So if you are solving anything and like anything for the customer, as you get close and as you understand, so do you have the right understanding of your customer's expectation? Are you solving a problem for them? However close you are, that's more important for the company as well as the group for like no dollar value or anything to everything, right? So yes,
Yeah.
agree to that.
All right.
Yeah.
Uh, how do you guys think about like building your skill sets, right? What are some good ways to build skill set? Because skill sets are like one of the important factors in getting to the next level, because technology all around us is changing so fast. and making sure that you have the right skill sets for the job is super important. So what are some of the things that you have tried to up level yourself or stay competitive, to get to the next level?
Good question again. Before, to answer this question, I will take a step back, right? Kind of understanding what is skill, or what is what are the different kind of skill that's required for your promotion or your kind of L to L+1 journey, right? And very interestingly, it's not always technical. I'll kind of close. We are from software industry, so I kind of go to that as our kind of reference point. Many a times it's a very big misunderstanding that you kind of built upon your technical chops, you will be getting to L+1. As you grow up in your career, as much as your technical skills are required, so is your soft skills, right? So understand what are the soft skill and what are the hard skills required. Maybe hard skill as in kind of your tech skills, right? Maybe your next group is going to be little more into AI, which is upcoming. Every group will whatever skill set you had today, tomorrow, tomorrow you need to understand AI. So you need to extend your understanding in those bases. Maybe you are not an expert, but you need to kind
Yeah.
of on them, build an understanding so that you can take part in it, right? That's very achievable skill. But the important skill that kind of people miss or kind of underestimate is those soft skills that required more and more as you grow up in your career. But, one of the example I will quote soft skill, negotiation, right? Remember I was we were talking about 10 people and 10 cooks in the same kitchen, right?
Yeah.
Wanted to solve the same problem. Are you a good negotiator?
Hmm.
Can you make your point there, saying okay, why don't you solve that part of the problem and I'll solve this part of the problem and join force. So
Yeah.
that's where your soft skill comes into picture. Second thing, one other biggest thing that's is important trait for you getting a promotion, recognition, whatever you can talk whatever you refer it as. Do you communicate lucidly, clearly, succinctly, crisply to your leadership?
Yeah.
Leadership as in up above, right? So again, a soft skill. Do you do you put your thoughts in a pen and paper in a clear way so that you can kind of it becomes easier for people to get onboarded to your idea. It's
Yeah.
about selling your idea. It's about
Yeah.
getting a people onboarded. So I would if you ask me how you extend your skills. So for me, I would focus on both the aspect and based on your career wherever you are, stretch upon both those things as much as technical as much as your soft skill and grow on that. Now talking about tools to use one again I'll observe your observe your surrounding as Vishal and you both are kind of acknowledging that fact that we are lucky to be in an industry that you kind of share your shoulder to shoulder with many sharp and smart people.
Hmm.
Observe them how they conduct themselves, so learn from them. May it be technical, may it be soft skill, and then don't hesitate, don't feel bad about taking a course in Udemy, free courses. There are so many universities are there.
Hmm.
Go and brush up your chops there. Spend some time. Be intentional about it. Again, I am using the same
Yeah.
thing. Be intentional about it. If you wanted to grow in the skill, be intentional about it. Identify, invest, and then grow there.
Great points.
Surya, I love the analogy that you gave about 2 minutes ago. We had a discussion about this thing, right? And you connected with skill up, like negotiation skills, right? Amazing. Like we were discussing 2 minutes ago that if there is a conflict, how you resolve it, right? Like to be honest, a person who has a better negotiation skills, he might be the winner in that race. That might be the, because all solutions are equally good, right? And that one thing might be the distinguishing factor, right? Really loved that topic point,
And
right?
interestingly, that's not the hard skill. Interestingly, that's not the tech skill. That's the soft skill that you
Exactly. It is the soft skill, right? It is. So definitely, yeah, I completely agree with you. I will like to share one thing from my side on skill up, right? For me, I have like, um, I'm a software engineer, and for me, keeping up with the current tech trend, right, is very important. And to be honest, I love it as well, right? It is something I do. Like if I was not doing job, I would have been doing that thing full time. So that is how I am, right? So I think skill up, uh, as Surya said, right, hard and soft skills both are important. uh, for me, developing that hard skill, right, is very important. The reason for that is, if I don't have that, like the example that we took right 2 minutes ago, if there are five different solutions equally important, the winner will be the one who has the better negotiation skills. To be that top five even is a challenge, right? And for that you need the hard skill. If you don't have the hard skill, you don't even reach that point. And if you don't have the soft skill, definitely you might not win the race, right? But there are multiple races going on, right? And if you have the hard skill, you can quickly jump onto the other race and start building on top of that, right?
Agree.
So I completely agree with Surya's point. Both are important, but I think it is very important you don't take skill up as a second thought. Like, to be honest, when you are on the job, and if hard skills like software engineering is very important, I think that should be your everyday part of your daily routine, right? It should not be a second thought. You should be like, hey, this is my work, I'm doing it, but on the side I am gonna learn about this particular thing in I will go deep dive into this also, right? So this is how, like, have it as a daily routine instead of a second thought, right? Afterthought, I will say, not second.
I totally agree to you, Vishal. Like now, before I hand over Ankur to for this discussion, I feel many a times we neglect it. Many a times skill up only happens when you are looking for another job, right?
Yeah.
Another job, another something you are kind of up there, not within the company or within the group. That's where you think about skill up, but it should be the second nature to you. As you
Exactly.
said, daily, weekly. However, have some dedicated hours time
Hmm.
for it, so that you can, if not anything, at least read the trend, take
Exactly.
some
Yeah.
kind of thing so that at least you kind of have a sense of what is changing, where it is going.
Yeah.
So,
Ankur, over
Ankur,
to
how do you skill up?
I will say that I'll again try to give a framework here. Like talent or skill stacking is what I would kind of like to explain to the listeners. Uh, yes, we should definitely focus on improving our hard skills. But if you are somebody who is, let's say, at 90th percentile of software design or coding, but you're not at that 99th percentile, and the promotions are only being given to the 99th percentile, what do? What's your strategy? I think a good strategy is to go for skill stacking. So what is skill stacking, right? It's kind of whatever both of you have said. I'm just trying to like put it in a framework, which is okay, focus on your system design and coding, but also focus on certain other skills. For example, negotiation, influence, writing, presenting, mentoring, right? We discussed about mentoring. All those skills, you can actually be like 95th percentile or 90th percentile in like lot of these skills, and together they actually help you kind of be at the top, right? So that is where I would say like people can focus, which is like not only be unidimensional, but try to be like multidimensional and like improve different aspects of yourself. So it's a continuous learning thing, right? So but yeah, like have like multiple weapons in your arsenal, so that like based on the situation and the opportunity that you have, you can kind of apply that. Any kind of resources that you want to recommend to our audience in terms of keeping yourself up to date?
All
You
the tools have been combined into Chat GPT now. So use
no,
Chat
no,
GPT.
no, no, no. I'll recommend our audience for Bird. It's a better tool than ChatGPT, and that's the internal joke that we have between me and Vishal. But yeah, for you guys, I would recommend Bird.
yes, 100%. uh, Chat GPT and Bard should definitely be used. um, I would also say like listen to podcasts, including the
Yes.
Tech Banter.
I think Tech Banter is one of the podcasts that will definitely help people get perspective, inner perspective of what the tech field is, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
some podcasts that I listen to that I have found really helpful, or people like I follow, is Shreyash Doshi. I don't think he works in any company right now, but he was like one of the first product managers at Stripe. Then he worked at Twitter, Google, Yahoo, and right now he's like doing a lot of coaching and advising for startups and others. So I follow him on Twitter, and he has a lot of like good podcasts that are super helpful. He's focused on product managers, but I think a lot of his advice also applies to like other roles. So that is a good resource that I would recommend. Also, Lenny's podcast is a good one. He talks about startups, techs, like growth in career, super relevant to our work. I would recommend that.
So I will recommend for developer skill set, right? MIT courseware, uh, one of the best coursewares I have seen. It is first of all free, and you can watch them for hours, right? They are never ending courses, I will say. I
Yeah,
think similar, they have a Stanford also has a similar courseware,
yeah.
but actually I have referred MIT. So yeah, the other tech skill building tools are Pluralsight, right? Skill up flow, they have, like, it's an amazing tool. They have AI integrated, I think, at this point, where it will recommend you what next course you should take. Really helpful tool. And also, in general, if you, yeah, how Ankur said, right, if you follow certain set of people, I think that's an amazing way to learn, right? One more important thing, if you want to go deep into any specific technical topic, I think referring white papers, right, that are published, that is one of the best and authentic way. Like, I was looking at Bitcoin, right, in 2013 or something, where there were very few resources, to be honest, outside. I went and I just downloaded that paper and I read that. It was like, for me, I was able to just understand around 50% of it, to be honest, right? At that point, now I understand much better. But I will say referring white papers is one of the best ways if you are like dealing with the cutting edge technology, right? One recent example is Llama 2, right? Llama 2, just go, there will be very few videos, just go and download the white paper, read it up, you will know how it is built.
So yeah, I think we talked a lot about how to get promoted, get to the next level, but we all know that maybe for every promotion that actually goes through, there are two or three or four or even more that does not. So and like getting from one level to the next level is never a straight line, right? There are a lot of setbacks that you have to deal with. So I want to like talk a little bit about how to deal with failure in terms of the journey that you're taking to get to the next level. So what have your experiences been in terms of how you have dealt with setbacks or failures?
I would start with it hurts.
Yeah.
Like
Hmm.
be open and like be transparent about it. It hurts, right? I next 2 minutes I'm going to give a lot of advices and everything, but before I go there, before I say like how to deal with like failures or like your promotion not going through, I'll say like yes, we understand it hurts, and the quicker we understand, as like it's an appeal to my audience here, that if the quicker we understand, it will hurt for some time, right? But we have to bounce back. It doesn't matter like how hard you tried, how hard you fail, we have to bounce back, right? It's a journey. So as they said, right, there is no failure, that's an learning, right? So try to give yourself a break when those news get like kind of open up, like I'm just walking through that situation, like where those failures happen, the learning happens, like all those things. When those news come, Don't be reactive. Like, just take it, dig a hole and like go under it, right? Like, be there for at least like a couple of days, a week, or like how much ever time you want to take. Like, let the news sink in, right? And then you kind of start exploring what exactly you want to like do and go about it. But one thing I have seen in the industry, they always come up with a like good analysis of your profile. Think in a way that it's not like somebody giving you a binary yes or no. Initially it might like whatever you can hear in that sentence is like no, that's the only word you kind of hear, and rest everything blurs out. Give yourself some little more time to like kind of what exactly that sentence was, what exactly that explanation was, right? And
Yeah.
realize on those and see like what can you kind of like recover, how can you course correct, how can you adjust yourself, how can you uh, give your rebuttal to that, like that part of it. So usually I have seen in my peer group with me and like all those I know, or like the promo committee that I have, person has made a journey. It is just like it has reached to the 80%. The rest 20% remaining. Somebody is 70%, somebody is 90%.
Yeah.
In some cases, it is 95%. Like they have done everything, every checkbox or whatever you call it, that call that edge. Like they have done everything, but sustainable performance,
Yeah.
right? And that's where like they get rejected. So that's the reason I'm saying like don't only like over focus on the word no. Let that be like your news. I understand when you get to hear about it, it's just that particular
Yeah.
one. But try seeing like what exactly was the gap, what you need to do. If the 95% like sustainable performance, right? That means you are already selling smooth there. It's just to maintain that like whatever pace you have, that momentum you have, carry on. Because the minute you lose your interest and momentum, that you are not helping yourself, you are not helping the group, you are not helping anybody to give you promotion, right? Or like recognizing, I don't call it as a promotion, recognizing, right? Recognition. So help them to help you
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
once you get that like failure or whatever you can call it as.
So for me, I think setbacks, failures in promo, they don't correlate directly with you, first of all, right? You have to disassociate yourself with the situation that is there, right? That is the core piece of it. The reason for that is promos are not just your, like, if you performed and the promo is there, it's not one to one mapping. Promos happens for various different reasons, right? There should be a spot, there should be a budget, there should be a requirement for the company to do all those things, right? Which are completely out of your control territories, right? um, let's say there are four good people in the same team, they are working equally well, and there is just one spot for the next level. That doesn't mean those other three guys who didn't got that spot are not worth it, right? So definitely you have to disassociate yourself with the situation, that is the P0. And if you do that, probably you will realize that maybe next time or maybe another opportunity will show up. The only thing is, how Surya said, you are there 80%, 90%, right? You have to just keep on sailing, and then ultimately you will reach there. I think that is the core thing that I will tell all the listeners, right? Disassociate first of all. Now you have your own worth, and the situation is different, right? The second thing is, definitely take it as a learning, right? Because when someone is saying that someone else was promoted, you were not, definitely there will be some delta, right? Even that might be a very minor thing, like maybe a soft skill only difference, right? A little bit of delivery difference, little bit of a time difference, right? That means you got your improvement point, you got a feedback, you got a point where you can improve, and just start working on that, right? Maybe in the next cycle the promo will happen, maybe in some another org the promo will happen. So the promos are going to come at the right time, right? I will go back to my initial discussion that we did, right? Three things are very important: the timing, the delivery, and the influence, right? So definitely you might be missing on one of those areas, you get the point, you improve on that. And that is how you should take setbacks. As Surya said, these are not failures, these are learnings, right? So I will double down on that point actually.
I wanted to quickly add before I hand over to Ankur. Think in a way that you have your leg up for the next cycle.
Yes.
Like yes, this cycle you kind of you are that 1%, 5%, 10% behind, but you are leg up for the next cycle.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Completely agree with that, Surya. Yes.
Yeah, I think you guys both have basically kind of summed it up pretty well. If promo does not happen, it hurts. If it did does not hurt, that means you didn't either put in enough effort or didn't care enough. So hurting is very human and very natural. So uh, that's I think basically a feedback that you should take. Work on it. Next time there is a higher probability that it would happen. Especially as you go higher up, most of the first attempts to promotion don't go through. Right? Only it's the second time or the third time that promotions go through. So be aware of that. Maybe you're just a little bit away from actually getting it. So that's important. But having said that, there will be situations you'll hit a roadblock, promotions may not happen, and that's when you can look at other options. And those are the topics that we would like to cover in our second and third part. And I think this is a good segue, which is we want to talk about role transitions and then also transitioning company, so leaving your current company, moving to another company. So career growth is again multidimensional, right? We need not stay in the same role in the same company forever, and we are going to dive deep into those two topics in our second and third part. But I think those were the main things that we wanted to talk about in terms of career growth and promotions.
I think, yeah, we have summed it up for the promotions, and I wish all the best to all the listeners. Uh, Maybe this podcast helped you a little bit to clarify the promotion area. Uh, and yeah, definitely, we are looking forward to record our part two and part three for this journey.
yeah, and I think I really liked being part of this discussion. Enjoyed every aspect of it, learned a lot, and I would say to our audience, if you have a question regarding promotion, maybe we have not covered, right? Feel free to put it in the comment, and we wanted to see, and if possible, we'll have a short video, long video, whatever format it is.
Yeah, we'll also leave Surya's LinkedIn in our description in the details. So if anybody is interested to reach out to him, Vishal or me, like feel free to do that in terms of helping in your career journey. And with that, we'd like to call it an end. Thank you, Surya, for joining us in
Thank you,
today's
Surya.
discussion.
Man, thank you, thanks
Thank you,
guys,
Vishal.
great
Bye,
chat.
everyone.
Bye bye.